Our next topic is Internet of Things. Now, when we talk about Internet of Things, what is the meaning? We are talking about internet or internetwork of things. What kind of things? Things which are devices connected to a network. What kind of devices? Electronic devices or anything that can communicate via a wireless system. Alright. So this is called as Internet of Things. What is the meaning of Internet of Things? How are these devices connected? And what is the advantage if all these devices are connected together? This is what we need to understand. One very good example perhaps is a question that had come in your prelims examination. Look at this question. When the alarm of your smartphone rings in the morning, you wake up and tap it to stop the alarm, which causes your geyser to be switched on automatically. The smart mirror in your bathroom shows the day's weather and also indicates the level of water in your overhead tank. After you take some groceries from your refrigerator for making breakfast, it recognizes the shortage of stock in it and places an order for supply of fresh grocery items. When you step out of your house and lock the door, all lights, fans, geysers and AC machines get switched off automatically. On your way to the office, your car warns you about traffic congestion ahead and suggests an alternative route. And if you are late for a meeting, it sends a message to your office accordingly. In the context of emerging communication technologies, which one of the following terms best applies to the above scenario? The answer is Internet of Things. I just wanted to take this as an example because this is perhaps one of the best examples that you can take. So in Internet of Things, we are talking about a network of devices or network of appliances which are connected together, and that's why they are all able to interact with one another according to the requirements. That in the morning you have to wake up, the first thing that you need to wake up is your alarm. And let's say after alarm rings, you take approximately 15 minutes to get out of your bed and go to the washroom. So the geyser will be switched on so that you can go to the washroom, take a bath, come back, and perhaps after that you want your coffee. So maybe by 7, maybe by 6:45, the coffee machine is also ready with the coffee. So all these machines basically are connected to one another through a network, and each one of these machines are responding to another communication sent by the previous machine. Correct? So something like this is happening, and this is the network of things that we are talking about. This is an example in your domestic setup, in your household setup about Internet of Things. The same thing can also apply to the industries. In the industries also it can be seen or it can be used. For example, in the automation sector, if you want to automate an entire system where you do not need any human brain, all the mechanical work can be automated as one step after the other. Similarly, even in the traffic, if you want to manage traffic, management of traffic can also happen if all these traffic systems are connected together and they are responding to the communication sent by one another. So in this case, all these devices are connected to a network and they are all responding to a given network. So this basically becomes Internet of Things. So this is a term that was coined by Kevin Aston back in 1999. And what is it? It is an interlinking of a bunch of digital devices, appliances, vehicles, and almost all possible gadgets under the sun, connected and exchanging information with each other to make our lives easier. So that's why in domestic usage, in industrial use, there are n number of ways in which Internet of Things can work. Alright. So it allows people to connect with machines and communicate with each other. So this is basically how Internet of Things will work. So that's why this question that was asked, basically this was a question that was taken as it is from an article that was published in the Hindu. From there they directly took this segment, and as it is, it was given in the question paper. So if you look at the Internet of Things, it can be useful in the healthcare sector, in agriculture sector, in transportation, in R&D sector, in ensuring safety and security. There are so many ways in which they can be used. So now Internet of Things is something that as a concept has existed for a very long time, but application wise we have not seen it prosper as much as we have wanted. Why? Mainly because of the network issues that we have. With 2G or 3G network, it was unimaginable to think that Internet of Things would work. Even with 4G, because you still have an issue with latency, you still have issue of speed, and that's why the entire spectrum cannot be used in an efficient manner. But with the kinds of advancements that we have seen, and that's why I said that Wi-Fi 6 and 5G become very crucial when it comes to Internet of Things. Because with 5G and Wi-Fi 6, now the number of devices that you can connect in a network is much larger, and all these devices which are connected in a given network, they will not have any latency. They will have very little latency, that is, and at the same time, the speeds will not be hampered. This was not the case up till Wi-Fi 4 or Wi-Fi 5, or in case of mobile networks up to 4G. So that's why Wi-Fi 6 as a protocol and 4 and 5G network as a network protocol in mobile phones become very, very crucial for the application of Internet of Things. Because until now, as a concept, we know what needs to happen, how it has to be implemented, but the implementation hasn't happened yet, because we did not have the kind of technology that we would need for Internet of Things to be properly implemented. So that's why now we will start looking at all these application centers one by one. We'll see that all these sectors will start to act. Now, if we talk about India, you'll see that both from the perspective of the government and also from the perspective of private companies, Internet of Things has started to enter India. So, for example, we have seen that the government of India has decided that it will set up a total IoT industry of worth $15 billion. Not only that, the estimates say that by the next 10-15 years, there will be a significant portion of our GDP that will be determined, or that will be driven by IoT, that will be driven by Internet of Things. And this is a report that was also published by the Niti Aayog. So again, the government of India has also planned to allocate a grant of rupees 18 crore over a period of 5 years in the initial stage to promote research and development in this area of Internet of Things, and monetary help to the IoT based small and micro enterprises of up to 6 lakhs per enterprise per year will also be granted. So that's why the government has also started infusing the money into this sector, because they also understand the importance of this sector in driving the entire infrastructural development in India. So from that perspective, it has been very, very important. Now, this is one aspect, the financial aspect. The second important aspect is the academic aspect. And in the academic aspect also, we have started to see some developments in India. For example, as a new subject in BTech, MTech and PhD courses along with short-term certifications have started to come in India. Then the government of India envisages to use Internet of Things as a part of Digital India mission. So that also will give it a very important push. Then after that, National Digital Communications Policy was launched to develop and apply Internet of Things, 5G technology, machine-to-machine communication, etc. And then back in 2018, we saw that the first airport based out of Internet of Things was inaugurated in Sikkim. And this system, this IoT-based system was designed early earthquake warning system. So this is something that we have started to see. Now let's look at the limitations of Internet of Things as we see it today. We have discussed about this, that Internet of Things today hasn't been seen as penetrating the market. We haven't seen all the applications that we think of. We haven't really observed it happening in the real sense. So what are the problems? First problem that we see is that the initial setup cost is very high. We already discussed about this, that you need Wi-Fi 6, you need 5G networks. Unless you have all these things, all the important initial infrastructural items in place, we will not be able to implement this technology as such. So that's why the initial setup cost is going to be very, very high. So that's why this becomes one problem. Then internet connectivity and security issues exist. We have to ensure that connectivity is great. Then only all the systems, all the devices, all the digital equipments will work together in tandem. Otherwise, they will not be able to work well. The latency needs to be very, very low. So all these are initial problems that we have. And at the same time, the security issues. We need to ensure that nobody is hacking into the system. Nobody is using the system to their advantage without anyone else knowing about this. So that's why that also becomes a big challenge. At the same time, it can lead to a lot of job losses. We basically are talking about automation. And with industries getting automated, with services and manufacturing getting automated, there could be a large amount of job losses. So that's why before implementing such a system, we will have to ensure that people who are in these kind of sectors which are susceptible to automation, we have to ensure that people have an alternative so that people are not losing out on their jobs. Otherwise, it will be a big challenge for the Indian economy to make sure that nobody is at a disadvantage because of Internet of Things application. Then after that, concerns of digital surveillance exists because we are talking about all these devices having all the communication and all the information. So if let's say the company or the firm which is behind all these kind of applications or all these kind of gadgets or all the digital devices, they can use all your information to their advantage. They can start using all these kind of information and kind of a digital surveillance will start to happen. So surveillance of things or surveillance of devices will lead to surveillance of people. So that's why this is again one of the key areas of concern that we need to look into. Then reliability of sensors is also important because all these sensors have to gather the information from other devices, everything that is connected in the system. So that's why these systems or these sensors needs to be strong enough so that there could be a proper well-defined communication between all these systems. Then after that, high power consumption can lead to frequent battery drain. All these communications happening between the systems can lead to this kind of a situation where power consumption starts to skyrocket, and because of that we might see there will be a lot of issues with regards to power consumption, and altogether power consumption of the system will start to increase. So that also needs to be checked. Then after that, lack of international standardization or compatibility issues can happen. Let's say you are using 10 devices at your home, right? And out of these 10 devices, there are 3 that have been manufactured in the US, there are 4 that have been manufactured back home in India, and out of the rest 3, 2 are from China and 1 is from Israel. Let's say. What happens then? All these countries would be using their own standardizations. So what may happen is that the compatibility between the devices of different origin may not sit well. So because of that, the entire Internet of Things system will not work properly. So that's why we need to ensure that there is a kind of regularization in this system so that all these devices, all these gadgets, etc., they should be able to work properly with each other without problems, without any hassles. Then lack of skilled resources to maintain and run such systems. And this is a big challenge right now because we have just started to look at these systems. These systems have just started to develop. So there is a lack of human resource in this segment. We do not have ample number of researchers, academicians, people who are skilled with regards to Internet of Things implementation. So that's why we don't know how the implementation will happen or how well the implementation will happen. So that's why that also is a key concern before we start looking at these systems. Right? So that's why although we have a lot of advantages, we have a lot of application areas where we can start using Internet of Things. But before we start doing that, we need to make sure that this list of limitations, they can be tackled. Then only we'll be in a position that we'll be able to implement this system very well.